How many of you are struggling with using social media? How many of you are trying to quit and have struggled to quit? How many of you are struggling with trying to find a more healthier relationship with social media? If this is you, I'm going to share some of the insights that I found that helped me find a better relationship with social media and also be at peace with myself when I started finding myself using social media less. So, the first thing that I found really important for me is just using social media more manually and not as much automatically as most people use. So I started using it more intentionally in a sense where I only use social media when I wanted to actually look up something that I found purposeful for myself or insightful for myself. So if I wanted to look up something that I found it interesting, I would go to social media, YouTube or something like that. But I wouldn't just go on social media just to browse on social media. I think that's what most people use it for. So when I started using it more intentionally and started using it more where I found it more beneficial for myself, I started seeing more of a positive impact in my own life. Using it more intentionally also means that I started separating social media from my phone. So I didn't have any more apps for social media on my phone. I only have YouTube on my phone currently, but all other social media apps were gone from my phone because it's so easy to use social media when it's so easy to access. So when you can just go on your phone and just click on it, it's very easy to just use it and find yourself going on hours on end just being on social media. So making it more difficult allows that to be an easier task to manage because things that are more difficult are less likely to be done over time. When you find things more easier, you're going to do it more often. So that's something that's very important to be mindful of. And that's something that's helped me in my own life as well. Because when I started deleting apps off my phone, I just deleted off my phone. I If I wanted to use social media, I would have to go on my laptop to use it. So I would have to search and I would have to log in. So more things I would have to do to use social media. And also, it also made me think mentally that when I'm on my laptop, I can use social media. When I'm on my phone, I cannot use social media. So that type of framework allowed me to create separation. When you create physical boundaries, you're able to create mental boundaries as well. I found that really impactful for myself. So I think that's something that's really important to be mindful of. And another thing is that using social media, like I said, it's not a completely bad thing. You want to use it to gain information, to gain knowledge, to find out what's going on in the world, but you don't want to allow it to consume who you are. So some people may think if I don't use social media, then I may be behind. I may not be able to find out things. But for me, that was not the case. I would still be able to find out things that are going on in the world, but it would be at my own pace. It may not be immediately to the second when everyone else may find out, but I'll find out rather shortly after that. So it's not something that you should be very concerned about. And you also don't want to be also consumed with the news all the time as well, because it'll only allow you to think more negatively about the world because like they always say, what bleeds is what leads. So whatever's negative is always going to be in the news. Whatever's bad that's going on is always going to be in the news. You do want to be aware of those things because you don't want to just live under a rock and not be aware of those things, but it's also something that you don't want to allow to just dictate who you are and make you think differently about how the world is or make you think differently about yourself as well. Because that's very easy to do. So when you're on Twitter or things like that, you'll constantly be bombarded by information, news outlets. And that's the next thing I'm going to talk about, which is making sure your algorithm is curated to who you are. I found it really beneficial when I started making my algorithm more. in alignment with who I am. So I would search things that may not be in tide with my algorithm, but then I would surely just delete that because I don't want my algorithm to suddenly just change and bring in more information that I don't want to be in alignment with who I am. So I may want to find out what's going on in the world and find out the news or stuff like that, but then that might breed more negative information. It might breed more negative insights, and you probably don't want that. You don't want to be bombarded by that. You want to know about what's going on, but you don't have an overconsumption of that. So that's something that helped me out. So I would make sure that I would only be subscribed to the people that align with who I am. But I would also find myself also going out of that scope to finding out other insights, other perspectives, because you don't want to just be in an echo chamber of just finding out the information that you're continuing to be fed to yourself. So you also want to have that balance. And that balance comes with you doing that intentional search of finding out different perspectives, not just finding out what's on your feed to gain those perspectives, but doing your own due diligence to gain those perspectives. So that was really beneficial for me. Having that balance, curating an algorithm that's in alignment with who I am, using social media more intentionally and more manually, and not allowing social media to dictate who I am because of those things. Those are some of the things that I found so beneficial in my own life, and I feel like it can be beneficial for you as well. You don't want social media to run your life, but you want social media to be something that just helps you in your life, something that provides you information, something that provides you insights. And that's how you should use social media. That's how I use social media today. So if you gain any insights from this video, feel free to share this to anyone else who may need it, who may be struggling with using social media, because I'm sure it can provide some insights to them as well. Share your comments, share your feedback. I'll catch you in the next video. Hope you have a great rest of your day.